My name's Tim Duffy, and we're doing our continuing gubernatorial interviews about education. I am the executive director of the Rhode Island Association of School Committees. And my videographer today is Timothy S. Duffy. And today we're talking to Ken Block. Mr. Block, if you want to make an opening statement relative to your positions on education, feel free to do so.
Love to do it. My name is Ken Block. I'm the Moderate Party's candidate for governor. I own two small businesses in Warwick, Rhode Island. I live in Barrington, and I have two young children in the Barrington Public Schools, a first grader and a third grader. My wife is a 7th grade science teacher. She's taken a sabbatical while our kids are growing up a little bit. My father was a college professor, and I've been steeped in educational issues since day one. I believe to the bottom of my heart that a quality education is probably the most important thing that a society can do for their children, that a state can do for its citizens. And I feel to a large extent that our state has been falling short, substantially short, in its duties to make sure that our kids receive a quality education. When more than 70% of our children, when more than 60% of our children who go to CCRI with Rhode Island high school degrees need remediation when they walk in the door, that highlights a substantial problem. And what pushed me into politics was the fact that our educational problems that we've had have not been well addressed in the 20 years that I lived here, along with the economic problems, which was a big one for me as a small business owner. So I think those two issues are the issues that most Rhode Islanders care about. Those are the two issues that our elected officials have least effectively dealt with in the 20 years I lived in this state, and that's why I'm running for governor. I know I have good ideas on how to fix these issues, and I want to make them, I want to fix them, I want to make it right, and I want to raise us up from where we are right now.
Okay. Let's get right into the questions. Do you support binding arbitration for teacher contracts?
No, I don't support binding arbitration. Binding arbitration doesn't take into consideration the town or the taxpayer's ability to pay. The local voters elect their local politicians and they're empowering them with the powers of taxation and the powers to make budgetary decisions. The arbitrators do not have that visibility, and they weren't empowered by the voters to do so. I think that that is a mistake, and it's one that we shouldn't make in our cities and towns. The voters should not be disenfranchised as part of the process.
Do you support contract continuation?
I don't. I think that acts as a disincentive to negotiate in good faith.
In fiscal year 2012, the state will lose approximately $240 million in federal ARA funds. At the same time, the newly enacted state aid education formula will increase the state share of education funding by 2.5% in the same fiscal year. Will you be able to honor this commitment to increase education funding?
We have to honor that commitment. It is incumbent on the state, again, to provide that quality education. We have to make sure that the monies are available, along with some other reforms we have to make to get the quality education that we need. We finally have a funding formula. We have to put the money into that funding formula. There's just no two ways around it. The trick is that we're effectively broke as a state. We run a persistent and chronic budget deficit, and we have to solve that problem. And I am the only candidate who actually has a plan for how to completely resolve our fiscal crisis, how to stop our chronic budget deficit, and how to incent business and economic development. And we have to do these things. What I'd like to do is I would like to go in and apply technology inside our social services programs. And just like I did for the state of Texas, where we saved more than $1 billion of waste and fraud in the food stamp and cash assistance programs, I want to apply the technology, the same types of technology, the same mechanisms inside our Medicaid program, which when you round up is a $2 billion program. In states that have done this, they found between 10 and 20% waste and fraud. This is Rhode Island, so let's assume it's the higher number of 20%. That could be as much as $400 million that we could save, roughly half of which is state dollars. So if we get smart about looking within our health and human services programs, find where the waste and fraud are occurring, and stop the misappropriation of our dollars, we can repurpose those dollars, balance our budget, and then we can effectively fund all these important programs that we want to fund. One of the most important ones, in my opinion, being the necessary expenditures to keep our educational system as healthy as we can.
This fall, Rhode Island's 11th grade students will take their kneecap assessments in math and English. The results of those tests will account for 50% of the graduation requirements. Past performance on the test indicates that thousands of students may not achieve a passing grade and could be at risk of not graduating. How would you address this issue?
We can't do this. I respectfully disagree with the way that this test is set up. We give the test in the fall, and the test results come back in the spring. Not nearly enough time to provide any remediation or provide any help to the students who took the test. We don't compare well test scores regionally and nationally. With the other kneecap-based states, there isn't a lot of hiding from the fact that we're not doing that well. Where there's not kneecap testing, we're at a significant disadvantage because a lot of those tests are given in the spring. The students have the benefit of almost a full extra year of education when they take those tests. So I think that kneecap is somewhat flawed in terms of when and how it's given and how long it takes for the results to come back. We all know that children learn differently, and we know that not everyone tests well. We have to design a system that takes this into account, yet ensures that our children are getting the education that they need. Maybe a tiered system. So if your kneecap scores aren't passing, the student's portfolio and the grades are reviewed.
Do you support mayoral control of schools?
I'm in favor of an alignment of the governance and the financial aspects for our schools. It's a bit strange right now where the school committee has budgetary responsibilities but not taxation responsibilities. So for me, I believe that those two functions have to be aligned. I would probably lean towards merging the responsibilities of the school boards and the city's finances together with one authority that taxes and sets policy. Because right now we have a real mess on our hands with the Accrual Act and everything else that happens. School boards are making financial decisions that affect taxpayers, and there's no real accountability on the taxation side of things.
Okay, and as our next question, you kind of addressed a little bit, would you repeal